All right, this is now the time that I've definitely been waiting for. I've been quite eager to get to this particular part of the bulletin because this is where we talk about matters environment, about matters sustainability, about matters climate change, and that's what is of utmost importance right now. So let's dive directly into Green Fix. And remember, I've been talking about the big why. Now, in case you've just joined us, well, this is what the big why is. Every week, we're going to be asking a question that is quite important when it comes to you and I. So this day, tonight, we are asking you, what do you do in your daily lives just to be able to protect the environment? What is the smallest of things that you've changed in your life, in your daily lives, to be able to protect and conserve and preserve this environment that we live in? We'd like you to interact with us on WhatsApp. That's 0793-267-279. You can send us a quick message. Don't forget to leave your name and answer the big why. Once again, what small changes have you made in your daily lives to help the environment? We'll be airing your feedback later on. So that's going to be happening in a short while. But for now, we also have the latest in the world when it comes to the climate. So let's get right into climate news. And our top story tonight in climate news, more than 250 African city leaders, including mayors, city officials, national policymakers, please excuse my diction, investors and business leaders that gathered in Nairobi this week for the Green and Resilient Urban Shift Africa Forum, funded by the Global Environment Facility, that's GEF, hosted by C40 cities and also supported by UN Environmental Program, that's UNEP. The World Resources Institute as well was supporting this particular forum, that's WRI. Let's take a look at what exactly happened during this forum. As Africa's cities expand at an unprecedented pace and with 92% already classified as being at extreme climate risk, the Urban Shift Africa Forum marks a decisive moment for resilient urban planning, sustainable investment and climate action.
Despite the fact such a small proportion of greenhouse gas emissions come from Africa, 4% or so, some of the impacts are biggest here. The ones that are most being talked about in the forum here, heat, and in particular how that affects people's ability to work outdoors, which is a large part of economies across Africa. Drought, but at the same time having extreme flooding, so huge amounts of water that come very suddenly, and then difficulty to keep and control that. And that general kind of focus on how to be more resilient in the face of what we know is going to get a much more difficult situation with the climate, whatever we do now.
And in comparison with other African cities and African countries, Kenya actually has the complexity of having so many different climatic zones, making, for example, cities like Nairobi and Mombasa are very different. Kisumu is very different as well.
Bringing together stakeholders from various countries, the forum set the stage for African city leaders to issue an open letter to African finance ministries, calling them to expand access to sustainable finance, establish robust frameworks for municipal finance, as well as mainstream climate and urban priorities into national budgeting and planning.
Beyond that, we have, through our climate change mainstreaming strategy, supported by C40's Climate Action Implementation Program, we have begun a journey to fully incorporate climate considerations into our policies, plans, and programs throughout all the sectors that we run as the city of Nairobi.
From Kisumu's point of view, we are in a county that is on the lake, Victoria, which is an advantage in terms of access to certain resources, and also in terms of doing things that will respond effectively to climate change problems.
With Africa projected to drive the majority of global urban growth in the coming decades, the forum sessions, which began on Monday and conclude on Friday, are set to focus on resilience, urban planning, and securing the financing required to build thriving, resilient cities for future generations. And still in climate news, imagine this. You get to exchange the trash around you for money, and most importantly, you clean the environment. That's a reality for locals of Aneho town in West African country of Togo through the Moi Je Trie initiative. Residents here bringing outdated and unnecessary items to the EcoBox kiosk with manager weighing and sorting collected waste according to its type. That's plastics, metals, papers, and as well as electronic waste. EcoBox kiosks are located across the town, and collected waste is now transported to a storage facility where it actually undergoes more thorough sorting. The organization now collects almost 5 tons of waste per month, with 20 to 30 kg coming from electronics and solar. According to the head of operations for the initiative, Parfait Agbetoso, they have launched the recycling of all electrical and electronic waste. This year, the Moi Je Trie initiative was reportedly launched by Africa Global Recycling with financing from the Togocom Group in 2021. Right now, a massive wildfire continues to spread through the Lanín National Park, located in the province of Neuquén in Argentine Patagonia, posing a severe threat to local biodiversity and the safety of nearby communities. Now, helicopter footage released by the Argentine army on Tuesday revealed vast columns of smoke, as you can see on your screens, rising above thousands of charred hectares in the wilderness, according to the latest government report. Over 22,000 hectares have already been consumed by the fire, and the cause of the fire, which began on 14th of February, remains under investigation, with experts speculating that the combination of record high temperatures and strong winds may have actually fueled it. In response to the crisis, local authorities have issued health alerts and ordered preventive evacuations in high-risk areas, including San Martin de los Andes and Villa La Angostura Lanín National Park is actually home to a rich diversity of flora and fauna, including endemic and endangered species such as the hummel, a rare South American deer. Now, to wrap up our climate news globally, marine experts have given up hope of rescuing more than 150 false killer whales that were stranded on a remote beach in Australia's island state of Tasmania. Now, footage that was filmed on Thursday shows several whales lying and lined up on the stretch of the beach's shore. Some marine and wildlife experts from the Department of Natural Resources and Environment, that is Tasmania, Denner, Tasmania, on Thursday were also seen assisting survivors on their return to the ocean and also assessing the condition of the other stranded animals. Now, according to the marine experts, the whales will be left in place to decompose naturally. Initial findings from the department showed that there were 136 survivors on Wednesday morning, but further assessment led to the revision of only 90 whales. Experts cited inaccessibility of the beach and ocean conditions and challenges to getting specialist equipment to the remote area were issues for rescue and conservation efforts. The department has advised the public to avoid the site, as the Tasmania Park and Wildlife Service also announced the closure of roads and the beaches in the area. Some devastating stories right there when it comes to climate change and the effects of the climate in the world. So I hope you really do pay attention to these little things that will make a difference to your life as well as mine and for the generations to come, just to be able to preserve the ongoing climate change that is currently affecting human beings as well as animals as well as marine life all over the world, and to try and make a bit of a difference in reducing as well as stopping the climate change adverse effects that we are seeing. Right, with that, the question today that we're asking on the Big Why is very simple, right? What are the small changes that you have done in your lives, that you've made in your lives to be able to help the environment? What small changes have you made in your daily lives to be able to help the environment? You can WhatsApp us on 0793 267 279. You can also call us live on 0795 045 865. We'd actually really love to hear from you. Please do engage us on social media as well. Once again, what small changes have you made in your daily lives to help the environment? We'll be sampling some of your feedback later on, but for now, let's take a short break. We'll be right back with that much awaited interview with a researcher who has some very interesting findings when it comes to climate change.